The national U.S. housing market appears to make no sense. On one hand, new listings are way up and pending sales are way down, which you would expect to cause inventory to start to build and maybe the median sales price start to drop. But that's not what we're seeing in the housing market. Inventory remains flat year over year, home prices remain up and they're trending up. And that's despite an increase in price drops across the country. So more sellers are dropping their sales price. How do we navigate this? How do we navigate this housing market, this conflicting data, and what should you do as a home buyer or a home seller out there in the housing market? I'm going to give you my take about what's going on and help you navigate it as a home buyer or a home seller in this video. Before I get started, my name is Liam O'Reilly. I'm a realtor with Jerry Riley Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs, feel free to reach out to me directly. I would be happy to help you. All my contact information is in the description, and let's get right into it here. So this video out of, or this article out of Redfin, housing market update, new listings post biggest uptick in nearly 3 years. And so we have it right here. New listings for U.S. homes for sale rose 13% year over year during the 4 weeks ending in February 25th, the biggest increase in nearly 3 years, which is significant. A 13% increase in listings year over year is very significant, but why isn't this resulting in a drop in median sales price or more listings, more active inventory on the market? We can see here median sales price is up 5.4% year over year, and it's trending up. Look at this blue line here. It's trending upwards. Based on this data that we're seeing, there's no sign of home prices dropping anytime soon. Of course, we're going to be monitoring this data closely to see if anything changes. But as of right now, home prices are up year over year. They're trending up in line with what we saw in 2022 and 2023, where they increased moving into the spring market here. And then let's talk about what I mentioned at the beginning here. Pending sales are down. So pending sales are down 7.7% year over year to 75,000. So that means less homes are going under contract than this time compared to this time last year. So there's less transactions taking place, even compared to last year, which was a very slow year for real estate transactions. And at the same time, new listings of homes for sale are up. Like we mentioned, 13% year over year to 79,000. And so we see here there's 79,000 new listings coming to the market and 75,000, almost 76,000 homes going under contract. So that difference, that $3,000 difference, you would expect, or not $3,000, that 3,000 home difference, you would expect to be reflected in the active inventory data. You would expect that to cause an increase in listings year over year. But that's not what we're seeing here. Active listings of homes for sale, 0%. They're flat year over year. And I think the reason for this is because despite new listings being up 13% year over year, they're still so low historically. They're so low relative to the active homes for sale, which of course are also low historically. There's not many homes for sale and there's not many homes being listed, even though it's up 13% year over year. And that 3,000 home difference, the difference between the homes going under contract and the new listings coming on the market, that 3,000 home difference isn't really reflected because it's about a 0.5% of the total housing stock on the market. So it's not enough homes to push the needle to bring more inventory to the market. But let's take a look at some other stats here and a really big divergence that I've noticed. If you look at a lot of these graphs, they're kind of following the same trends here. The homes sold for above list price trending up like we saw in years past. Homes sold in a median of 48 days. You know, again, it's the same general trend in these graphs that we've seen in years past. But when we take a look at listings with a price drop here, where is it? 5.8% of listings had price drops, and that's a pretty big divergence from last year, from 2021 and 2022 as well, that you can see below. There's many more listings having price drops. So what's going on here? What I think's happening, and I guess before I dive into what's happening, something else to note is that despite 5.8% of listings having price drops, we're seeing more homes sell for over list price than we saw this time last year. 24%, it's probably about 1% or so, maybe about 0.5% higher than it was this time last year. So not a huge increase, but still more homes are selling for above list price. And that's despite less homes going under contract nationally, which is, sorry, that was the wrong chart here. pending sales right here, 7.7% less homes going under contract, but more of them are going under contract for over list price. And that's despite, again, this is really conflicting data and it's kind of hard to navigate because more homes are having price drops. There's more listings coming to the market, but at the same time, more homes are selling for over asking price, over list price. So what is going on in the housing market here? I think what's happening is we're seeing two different housing markets play out. We're seeing one market where sellers list their home accurately. They generate a ton of interest because there's not much inventory on the market, and there still are a good amount of buyers out there, despite having less pending sales. That those sellers are getting are getting multiple offers, having their home price, that price that they listed it at, get bid up and accept an offer over list price. While at the same time, there's sellers out there who choose to list their home high, to list their home above potentially what it's worth, and then start cutting their price in hopes to get a buyer at a reasonably high price or the top dollar. Those are two pretty common strategies right now to list properties. I personally think if you're a seller right now, at least here in Vermont, the best strategy is to price it attractively, try to get multiple offers, and oftentimes you're going to get more than what you listed it for, more than what you would have gotten if you had listed it at a high price and cut your price over a few months. So that's what I think the best strategy is for sellers. But really what we're seeing, and I think this is what the data reflects, is that there's two subsets even within the same market. I know here in Vermont, this is what we're experiencing is there are sellers who list their home high and try to get somebody to pay that top dollar and then maybe drop their price over weeks or months. And then there's others that look to get multiple offers within that first weekend, like we recommend, and sell over list price. Now, I think in other markets, like some markets in Texas, when we take a look at what's going on in these different markets across the country, you can see here that some of them are behaving very differently than others. Pending sales in San Antonio, Texas, for instance, are down 30% year over year, and their median sales price is down 5% year over year. So there's probably less multiple offer scenarios going on in San Antonio than there are in Vermont, like what we're experiencing. So I think these, market to market, it's going to vary as well. But even within those markets, there's really two subsets of home sellers, of home markets out there. So what does this mean as we move into the future? What does this mean for you as a home buyer or a home seller out there? Now, if you're a home seller, again, we've kind of gone over this. Price your home attractively, try to get multiple offers. If you're a home buyer, it's not a bad idea to take a look at some of those homes that have sat on the market that might be a little bit overpriced, where you won't have as much competition. Now, something to note is that, at least here in Vermont, people are noticing how little inventory there is on the market, right? If we go back to active inventory here, we're at about as many homes on the market as there were this time last year. So there's really not many homes for sale historically. There's not many options for buyers out there, and sellers know this as well. So many of the past deals that I've had, I've submitted offers for about 5% under list price, and I've called, texted, emailed the agents, and sometimes I don't even get a response, or they won't respond to me until 4 or 5 days later, because the seller just doesn't even want to consider that offer right now. So just because a home sat on the market for a little while, it doesn't mean that those sellers are going to be negotiable on price. But at the same time, if you find the right seller, if you find a seller that needs to sell, who has listed their home too high, who's had a bunch of buyers in there and nobody's come to the table with an offer, if they're motivated and they want to sell in that scenario, then that's where the opportunity lies for you as a home buyer to get a good deal on a property that you're not competing with too many other people. But again, you have to understand that not every seller is going to accept an offer under list price or a low ball offer if they're not motivated to sell. A lot of these sellers out there, and maybe you watching this video are somebody who's thinking about selling. It's expensive to move right now. It's expensive to buy a new property. Rent is expensive. And so a lot of sellers, if they're going to sell, they're only going to sell for a premium price. Again, it's not every seller, but it's situations that I've run into recently here in the 2024 housing market. So Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you think I evaluated this data right? You know, it's very conflicting with new listings up, pending sales down, which should cause inventory to increase and prices to drop. But of course, that's not what we're seeing. Do you think I analyzed what's going on in the market correctly, or do you have a different opinion on the divergence in these data points that we're analyzing? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.